Welcome to ASSAT Analysts, the debate game show where the points definitely matter and we take things way too seriously. My name is Josh Johnson, and I'm joined here with my roommates, Nathaniel Jackson.
Yo.
And Kyle Jennis.
Howdy.
Stay tuned to find out who truly is the king of pulling random facts and arguments right out of their ass.
Welcome to this Friday's episode of Simpleton. Before we get started, we're going to go ahead and reveal who everyone voted for and reveal the bullshitter. So, Teddy voted for Joshua Johnson.
You know it.
Kyle voted for Joshua Johnson.
Yes, sir.
I voted for Joshua Johnson. And Joshua Johnson voted for Kyle.
Can I vote for myself in the future just so I also still get a point?
No, that's not how that works.
It's a loophole.
All right, so...
it's called
Whoever's a
gaming the system.
bullshitter always just get a point.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, so pretty much, so Kyle and I get points. Josh, unfortunately, does not get any points. So that puts our point total at 3 for Josh, 1 for me, 2 for Kyle, and are we saying 1 for the guest or are we saying 0 for the guest? So that, because the guest doesn't technically get points, they're just guessing for fun now.
They could participate for fun.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that way they're at least
Can we
trying
just say
for
I
something.
get a point? Because that sounds nice.
All right, so Teddy, the
Yes,
guest.
Let's
Teddy
go.
gets a point.
Teddy gets a point. All right. So this the topic for today's Simpleton episode is what is the most underrated Pixar film. So Kyle, what you got?
Wally.
Wally. Josh.
And no,
what
I
you
will
got?
not be doing impressions. Thank you for asking.
Okay. Josh, what do you have?
I was very tempted to try to do a Wally impression, asking him why. But I've got A Bug's Life.
I almost picked that one. That's a great movie. And I picked Ratatouille. All right.
Boysenberry.
So, who would like to make their first opening statement?
Let's go with Nathaniel. Haha, you never start.
All right. So, Ratatouille. It's a movie that a lot of people actually confuse and think is DreamWorks. It is a very common misconception. A lot of people forget that it is actually a Pixar movie. It is not a DreamWorks movie. So that is, I think, just perfect evidence to the fact that it is an underrated Pixar film. If people can't remember what studio made it, that's nice. If people can't remember what studio made it, I think that is proof enough that it is an underrated film.
Well, I think part of that confusion comes from the fact that at the beginning of the film, they show the DreamWorks logo.
No,
No, they
No, they-
don't.
Yeah, no, they definitely
No, they
do not.
don't.
That was a joke.
what it,
Haha.
Okay.
this podcast not sponsored by DreamWorks.
But it could be.
It's
It
a
won't
debate
be.
tactic.
It
You're
won't.
completely
It won't be
derailed.
after
won't
this
be.
one.
All right. So I think that would be my primary starting point. I would also like to point out that of box office evidence, it is one of the lower earning Pixar films. It did okay. It didn't do great. If you're just counting like the first installment, so we're counting like Cars 1, not Cars 2 and 3, we're just ignoring those. First installments of movies, it is actually in the lower percent. I think it's like 15th for Pixar.
I actually didn't consider box office earnings when researching this topic. I don't remember how Wally did. I went and saw it in theaters, though. It was great.
Yep. Yeah, so it is the only movies under it are Toy Story, A Bug's Life, Toy Story 2, Monsters, Finding Nemo. Finding Nemo made less?
What?
Wow.
That's crazy. I love Finding Nemo.
Wait, did you say Toy Story made less?
Yeah. I mean, it came
this-
out in 95.
Okay.
So you also got to think about inflation in the years, but
is
because
it-
I don't think this list accounts for inflation.
I was about to say it might not be
Um,
adjusted.
And then Cars 1 and then Ratatouille. Cars 1 is below it too. Wow. I did not expect that.
That's crazy.
I mean, yeah, they're older movies. The newest one out of all of those is Ratatouille in 2007.
Man, I was 10 years old when that movie came out.
Ratatouille made... Oh, wait, this isn't in order. This is in order of years. Now it's in order.
Well,
Okay, actually. So it made $626 million. Worldwide box office.
Do you think it had a better following in like France or?
Wow. Okay. So, looking at this, it actually did better than both of your movies. So that point can be thrown out the wall.
No, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up
Okay.
because A Bug's Life only grossed $363.3 million US dollars.
Yeah, it came out in '98.
It did.
Different times.
And it was, I believe it was the second
I want to find a list
movie
adjusted
that
for
Pixar
inflation.
did under Disney.
I want to find a list adjusted
I think
for inflation.
was Toy Story the first, or was that before the
Toy Story was the first.
That's what
came
I
out in
figured.
96.
Yep.
Yep.
Wow.
Or, sorry, came out in November of 95.
Ratatouille made more than Wally.
How much did Wally make?
532.
I was gonna guess like 470 something.
People like animals, dude.
Man.
They don't like robots.
Or, well, I guess cockroaches are still animals.
Yes, that is true.
Any
yeah,
guesses?
but cockroaches aren't like the main thing in A Bug's Life.
No, not in A Bug's Life.
Oh, and
Wally,
Wally.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
He had a pet
Makes more
cockroach.
sense.
This is
What?
why
I
Wally's
think there's
underrated.
There's not even a cockroach in A Bug's Life, is there?
Not
I
that
don't
I
think
know.
so.
I think
Maybe in
there
that
is.
circus
There probably
scene.
is.
There's a
There's-
roly-poly.
There's a roly poly.
two twin roly-polies.
Yeah, true.
There's a flea. There's grasshoppers, ants, obviously.
yeah, a lot of
Beetle.
grasshoppers.
A
Spider.
beautiful butterfly.
Yeah, there is a black widow.
Beautiful butterfly.
And there's a daddy longleg.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about when Heinrich
There's a cricket.
transforms into a butterfly. I was like, Nate, I mean, okay, but
I'm a beautiful butterfly.
Yeah, there's a caterpillar
Yeah.
/ butterfly, depending on spoiler alert.
Yeah,
And
if you
then, if you haven't seen A Bug's Life, it's been out for over 23
yeah,
years.
what rock have you been living under? Come on now.
Sorry, just under exactly 23 years. So,
When
Wow.
I was 9, I broke my arm, and while I was sitting there waiting for them to like set it back and stuff, they had one movie in the room, and it was A Bug's Life.
oh, I
and
thought you were going to
watched-
say it was ants. People get those confused all the
no,
time.
no.
Yeah,
Ants is garbage.
DreamWorks made a Bug's
No, that
Life.
one's-
Honestly, Ants is it's a garbage kids movie, but it's actually a decent story about communism. But that's a debate for another time.
So we're gonna have to go rewatch Ants now. I feel like
Yes, we absolutely need to.
no,
you
but I
don't,
watched A
you
Bug's
don't watch
Life.
it every 6 months.
I watched A Bug's Life on replay, like on repeat, 4 times in a row. So I know that movie
It
pretty
took them.
well.
That's like 6 hours.
It took them.
It was a busy night at the hospital.
That's like 6-7
Wait,
hours.
okay, so you were waiting in like the waiting room.
No, I was in the room, like
How-
in the.
How badly did you mess up your arm?
It wasn't even that bad. I broke it in 3 spots, but only like fractured.
Okay, so were they like
They were
doing
just
surgery on it,
No,
or was it they
no,
were?
They just left me in the room for like
They performed
6
Oh,
hours.
okay,
surgery
so
on
not
an
the
arm.
waiting room. You were just
Yeah.
okay. Well, at least you had satisfactory and underrated entertainment.
Yes. It was not great. Was not bad either.
How old were you at the time?
9.
Okay. See, it's enjoyable at that age, but you really need to be a little bit older to understand the nuances of the concepts of the movie. So it's a great
Bug's
dynamic
Life?
for both kids and parents.
You see, I don't think I
Oh,
was.
Bug's Life?
Yes.
I wasn't exactly in like the right headspace to really enjoy A Bug's Life at the moment.
Oh, they hadn't
my
turned
arm-
on the morphine yet?
No. My arm was just in agonizing pain the entire time. But
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Well, see, and I think you really should watch it again because while you did see it 4 times, I do think that you're a little biased towards it, and I think there's a lot of people that are biased towards it.
oh no, I was just telling a story. I don't.
No, but it, again,
Oh, he's definitely
it's
biased towards it.
it's anecdotal evidence that A Bug's Life is an underrated film.
I was about to say
Hey,
this all ties in.
I just want to say, if it's being played in the hospital, I've never seen Ratatouille be played in the hospital.
That doesn't mean it's underrated. That just means it's not a great movie.
It is a phenomenal movie, and you know it.
No,
Pretty sure when we were picking movies, you go, yeah, that's a great movie.
I said that too
That
because
or because it was simply too expensive for them to get. Or
I mean, that's
also
very
probably
possible.
the fact that it wasn't out at the time. He was 9.
Oh, yeah, that's a
What
good
year did
yeah,
Ratatouille come out?
2007.
No, it was out. I'm a youngin', remember?
Yeah, but it was in the theaters.
Yeah.
How old are you? 17?
21.
Okay, yeah, same thing.
Yeah, there's. I mean,
That okay, actually I retract that statement. There's a big difference between 17, 18 and 21
Yes, there is.
legally.
Okay, we didn't need to go there.
Well, I needed to specify.
I think that's enough of
But
an
we can
argument
move
for
on.
Josh.
Just so we don't get confused about Ratatouille.
Just curious, do you guys have any guesses to what the number one grossing Pixar movie is
Ooh,
worldwide?
we can go around.
Yeah, Kyle, what do you think?
Man.
Frozen?
No.
It's not Pixar.
No.
Oh, is it not Pixar?
No, it's
okay.
That's
I would
Disney.
say Inside Out.
Good guess. It
that's
is
a good
top. It is top 7. It's number 7.
And I'm gonna say Incredibles.
Actually, 6. I counted wrong.
I'm gonna say Incredibles.
Nope. That's
I
number.
feel like it's too old for it.
Okay,
That's
I mean,
10.
this is kind of this is sort of an off-topic conversation that we're having right now.
Yeah,
so why
it
don't you
is.
just go ahead and tell us?
Mostly just curious. No, you got to guess.
No,
guess.
give a guess. It's good.
Well, I
give a
did
guess.
guess. I said Frozen.
That was his.
That was a genuine guess.
All right, no, it's Incredibles 2.
That was. Oh my
Okay.
Okay, that
Which
one was
makes
so,
sense
that was
because
so mid though.
I mean,
it was also it wasn't a great movie, but it was anticipated for, and people wanted it for like 13 years.
That is true. That is I think that's the
the-
longest space between sequels in Pixar history right
the
now.
most impressive on here is the fact that Finding Nemo is still number 5, and it came out in 2003, while
Wait.
all the other top 5 came out in 2010 or later.
What are the other ones?
So Incredibles 2 is 1.2 billion.
Oh my
Toy Story
God.
4 is 1 billion. 1.07 billion.
okay,
Toy
I
Story
like-
3, 1.06 billion. Finding Dory,
There's a fourth Toy Story?
1.02
I haven't seen that one.
billion. Finding Nemo, 936 million.
I will say, I did like Toy Story 4, but they did not need to make Toy Story 4. You could argue kind of the same for Toy Story 3.
Toy
I
Story.
think 3 didn't need to be made, but I'm really glad that it was.
Yes.
That was a phenomenal film, and
Oh,
it
yeah.
really wrapped up and tied off everything.
Yes.
I
And
hate 4. I hate 4.
I'm glad I haven't seen it.
It's
No, it's like I said, it's good, but they didn't need to make
no,
it.
it's not.
It's not good.
not good.
I liked it. Well, see, I'm
it
easy
is
to please.
bad.
I was gonna say it's a money grab,
It
which
is.
it obviously
I mean, pretty
is.
much.
is.
Yeah.
I believe
And
I
it
heard a
was
rumor.
successful.
Didn't they make like Bo Peep a girl boss?
Pretty much.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, she honestly a baddie in that one though. So.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, she's kind of a baddie in the whole series.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's not talk about animated females.
Toys?
Toys.
Yeah.
Look, man, play with your toys however you want.
All right. So
And
Kyle,
we're back.
Kyle, why is Wally underrated?
Well, I'm going to put this out there first and foremost. There's no dialogue for like the first 20, 25 minutes of the film. It's literally just like we watch this robot and we kind of learn about what's going on with Earth. And it's all told through just like this perspective of this cleaning robot. And then all of a sudden he meets this new robot and he's like, oh my God, everything changes. He's like, screw his programming. He's like, this is what's going on. And he goes out and learns about life and what humans have been up to and everything. The other cool thing, the reason I picked this one was because there are a lot of like themes underlying. Obviously, but there's the fact of, you know, try and save the earth and everything and waste management stuff like that. But there's actually like a theme of nostalgia under there. And the reason I say this is because you go back and watch a lot of like the essential stuff that people used, you know, like in today, like now, like lighters, sporks, like utensil stuff like that. Wally collects just for sentimental reasons. Like he has no reason to keep all this stuff, but he does because it's old and it has value to him in some way. And actually, the funny thing is too, the song they pick when they zoom in on this decrepit earth that's just full of garbage is "Put On Your Sunday Clothes," which is like a happy song or whatever, which sings about happy times or whatever. It's like there's nothing happy about this earth. It's so juxtaposing. But I think that was and Wally's a good character. Like he develops well throughout the movie, and he's like you can like root for him almost. It's like, yeah, he's a relatable character.
So this is the hard thing that's going to be about this argument is it's purely opinion based.
Oh, yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Because really being able to define what is underrated and not underrated is hard to do. It really you can't define it.
No, not really.
But Wall-E, for me, I personally could never consider it underrated because when I think of like best Pixar movies made, it's in my top 5.
I mean, it is for me. It is
So
for me too.
What is the IMDb? Because we're just using that as a scale. What's the IMDb rating for Wall-E? And while you're at it, go ahead and look
For whatever
if you don't
reason,
already know it.
I'm just looking up all the IMDb ratings for Pixar.
Should've had that
So
prepared.
Wally is actually the second highest. Wow.
There you go.
Well,
So it's-
all
right.
for you.
it is a
It's been
phenomenal
nice.
film,
Bye,
but it's
guys.
accurately
I'll
rated.
See you later.
Yeah. So Coco is 8.4. Wally is 8.4. Toy Story 8.3. Up 8.2.
Oh, I forgot
Wow.
about Up.
Yeah, but that's also,
Yeah,
I believe,
no.
accurately rated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Toy
Oh, yeah.
Story 3 8.2. Why does this have Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade? That was not made by Pixar.
Good movie though.
Oh yes.
Well,
Honest-
I wonder if Pixar Studios did animation for that movie. That might be what that is. Why it's
There weren't
considered
any-
here. If there's CG,
Like, yeah, CG.
yeah, any,
Oh, well, yeah.
any effects.
Yeah, or green screen stuff or whatever.
Soul 8.1, Inside Out 8.1. Where's Ratatouille? Ratatouille is 8.
Okay. A Bug's Life is a 7.2.
Yeah,
What?
yeah, 7.2.
Underrated.
Wow. That's.
I don't know. In all honesty, if I had to rate it out of 10, 7.2 to 7.5 is about where I would put it. And that's not me just saying that because I want to win. That's genuinely what
But
I
you do
think of
wanna
the movie.
win.
Yeah, I do want to win, but that's genuinely what I think of the movie. I think it'd be about a 7.5. Great movie, love it. A lot of the reason I like it's nostalgia.
Same here.
So
I feel like that's
now saying that, Ratatouille, I'd
Yeah.
give like a 9.3. Because I love Ratatouille. It is
It's
one of my
not that
favorite
good.
movies. Dude, I love Ratatouille.
It is good. I mean, like the animations on it are all done. I mean, they all are in this on these movies we picked.
Well, and the stories themselves, I do think that both of the movies that you guys picked are good movies, but I do think they're accurately rated by those IMDb scores. A Bug's Life, I think, should be up there with them. I would put it at least an 8. And
Honestly, yeah, I could see it at an 8.
it is kind of a more simple story that's a little bit cut and dry, but there are nuances between like the development of each character, and I think the way that they're written and the consistency and their small amounts of growth, but still staying consistent to who the characters are, I think is really well done.
So this might be because I haven't seen it in years. I think I saw Ratatouille once.
Yeah.
What's the actual theme of that movie? Is it just let some rat control you with your hair? Which I still don't understand how that makes sense.
I mean, it's pretty cheesy. It's don't judge people. Like the
much.
whole everyone hates rats. They're in a restaurant, and at first
so let
when
the
they
rats in your restaurant.
at first when everyone sees the rat and meets the rat that can cook, they're trying to kill the rat, and then they taste his food and they're like, okay, you can cook just as well as a human can. That's literally the theme. It is kind of cheesy, but it's very well done.
And you think that should be rated higher?
Yes. Thematically, it's not necessarily the theme that's important. It's the way the theme's delivered and the impact it has on you. Right?
Well, that's why I
So-
picked Wally.
I also think that the theme for that one is more. It's not necessarily like don't judge a book by its cover. I think it's don't judge yourself by your own cover and follow your dreams and do what you want to do. Because Ratatouille, he ends up leaving the rat colony,
Yeah.
where his dad is like the chief
Yeah.
and wants him to just be this simple like, why can't you be satisfied with garbage?
Yeah.
But he wants to be in a classical French
Yeah. He wants more
French
for himself.
kitchen. He
than-
does,
yeah.
and that's I mean, so it's that, but it's also let's see, Remy's the rat. What's the actual
Linguini.
Linguini? Yeah,
I think they call him that. Well, that's his last name, I think, in the movie. But yeah.
that's what he goes by.
Yeah.
But so that and he himself is just this. Starts out as like a nobody, kid from the streets that comes in and gets a job because his mom was friends with the original owner. Turns out is his son, but and so he gets a job there, starts cooking, starts actually being able to cook, with Remy and then without Remy. So, but it's him believing in himself as well and pursuing that better life for himself and making his mother proud.
Yeah.
I like that theme better.
That's
That's the thing. Josh is better at psychoanalyzing people than I am.
Well, and
Stories.
yeah,
Psychoanalyzing stories. I just want to point out. So I looked up a lot of lists for this. Like it ranked top 24 Pixar movies, worst to best. About half of them had Cars 3 as the worst and Cars 2 as the second worst.
Cars 3 isn't that bad.
I genuinely just don't understand that. If you're going to have those as the worst two movies, fine. But how can you put Cars 2 as better than Cars 3? That's completely off point.
Yeah,
I think
now
I think part of that is because people didn't think that 2 or 3 needed to be made at all, which realistically they didn't.
they didn't.
No.
Once they made Cars 2, they needed to redeem it, and Cars 3 I think was necessary. And honestly, I would just actually cut out Cars 2 from the entire equation because
Yeah.
Cars 1 and Cars 3 are still pretty good movies, and they handle different parts of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was off topic. Sorry. So I just want to say, according to Rotten Tomatoes, the 3 most rewatched Pixar movies are Finding Nemo, Toy Story, and Wall-E.
So I have another confession to make. I've never seen Wall-E all the way through. I think I've seen the beginning and the end.
All right.
So would you think an 8.4
Thanks for having
is
me, guys.
accurately
Bye.
rated?
I have no clue. I do, from what I've heard about people talk about it, think it probably is good, I guess, but
Yeah, and that's kind of my main point, is that I think that the other 2 are accurately rated at where they're at, and I think A Bug's Life should be pulled up a little bit higher. So, but ultimately, it does come down to kind of what you think and whether or
Yeah.
not we were able to change your mind on that.
So I guess, Kyle, you're going to have a lot of explaining to do why Wall-E should be higher. But also I can tell you that Bug's Life, I feel like it's rated well from what it seems. I think it just makes it seem like the rest of the Pixar movies are rated too high, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, that could be possible. Also, I guess the thing to keep in mind is the big context. Like, Bug's Life was one of the first movies
Yeah.
that Pixar ever
Ever.
made. Yeah, it's pretty much. I mean, yeah.
First
If
movie
you're an-
ever.
Yeah.
It's actually not. They do have a large list of movies. There's like 8
What did they make before? What other movies? Well, obviously, there was Toy Story.
Adventures in Andre and Wally B, Flags and Waves, Luxo Jr.
Okay, we're talking about full feature-length films.
Yes.
No.
Are those not feature-length films?
No.
All right. Honestly, I don't know that point.
Yep.
But I know that Toy Story was it was the first one they
was
did with
the
Disney.
first.
It was the
Yes.
first one?
No,
the
it
first
was
full
the
length?
first. Yes.
Okay. I wasn't
They had made shorts up to then, but it was the first.
gotcha.
The first.
Okay.
There's
I knew that was their first one with Disney. I wasn't sure if they had which I guess makes sense. They did shorts and kind of put together a portfolio to be able to jump on with Disney, but yeah.
I think so, Teddy. The reason I picked Wall-E was because of a lot of the underlying themes. Like I said, past the point of like conserving the environment and trying to manage waste and everything was like, yes, nostalgia's in there. You know, it's like a lot of the older Disney movies. Well, parts of Wall-E harken back to like the older Disney movies and like even silent films because of the fact there's like no dialogue for a good chunk of the movie. It's all just like noises and motions from Wall-E and eventually Eve, and then obviously the rest of the robots and everything like that.
And the humans in the story, but continue.
Yes, that's the big thing is like the humans aren't like a lot of movies obviously do involve like humans and the human race and everything. It's like, but I lost my point. My train of thought. Anyway, I'm gonna jump to a new point. I did kind of talk about it, the fact that like Wall-E sees this like beautiful new robot and he's like, oh my god, like forget everything that I know. Like this is it. It's like eventually it's basically about just like these two robots just trying to figure out the purpose of life beyond their programming, which is it's like I feel like that's a very human thing. It's like trying to break out of your routine and find something new, like find something in life, you know. They're just trying to be human, I guess.
Sounds like a good movie. I should watch it sometime.
It is great. I have it. I have it.
Can I borrow it?
Sure.
we'll
Let's
watch
go.
it. It's also just on Disney Plus.
I don't
Well,
have
that
Disney
is-
Plus.
Oh wow, fair enough.
So, did any of these other movies? I know Nathaniel kind of began his opening statement by saying that people don't realize that it's a Pixar movie. Do any of these other movies get commonly confused with another movie that is
No.
completely different and done by a different studio?
No.
Yours does.
I know.
It
I know you're
does.
gonna bring
It does. Ants. Although I really don't think it's commonly confused with ants. I think people pretty well understand that they're different. I think people think, oh, it's just another ant movie. And I think the more common conception is probably that a lot of people probably think Ants is a sequel to A Bug's Life. But I don't think people confuse the movies. At least to my knowledge, I don't know anyone that does. Maybe it is something that happens occasionally, but I think that probably happens just as occasionally as Ratatouille being confused with DreamWorks.
What year did Bugs Life come out again?
98.
98. So did Ants.
Yeah, Ants actually came out like a month and a half before A Bug's Life. Which is why Ants was kind of poorly animated and the story was kind of half done, was because they actually just put it out half-baked because they wanted to beat A Bug's Life to the box office. So, which is a lot of the reason that its box office was stunted, simply because there wasn't, like, people had just seen Ants, and then the stunt that DreamWorks did because they were pissed off at Pixar and Disney worked.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I think I made most of my points. I don't really have much else to say on mine.
I mean, this is a hard one to argue because really it is purely opinionated. Mm-hmm. There's not a ton of evidence either way. I wish I've looked a lot for stats on like. I want to see the actual numbers for all the Pixars as far as most rewatches on like streaming services.
That'd be nice.
And some like stats like that, but I just can't find it. Maybe it exists somewhere.
I do have to say though, Ratatouille does have a huge market in like the meme industry.
It does.
Yeah.
There are a lot of Ratatouille
That one
memes.
song.
Yeah, but see, okay, here's another thing. People meme it because they think it's kind of just like a garbage, half-baked movie that's just kind of and it's fun to make fun of. Don't realize how good the movie actually is.
I don't necessarily think that's why people meme it.
No, it's definitely a reason people meme it. Everyone I've talked to about it is like, it's an okay movie. I would never rewatch it. And I'm like, why?
My
It's
dad would
great.
beat those people to a pulp.
It's
And my-
like I said, it's my
loves
number.
My
Ratatouille.
dad,
Not
my dad'll
actually.
beat up your dad.
Yeah.
My movie's better.
No, my dad does love
Yeah.
Ratatouille. I think it's his favorite Pixar.
It's my number 5 Pixar movie.
What's your number 4?
Probably Finding Nemo.
Is this
All right,
just
fair.
the list of?
If you still have it pulled up, I'm actually curious.
Yep.
Which ended up making more money, Finding Nemo or Finding Dory?
Finding Dory.
Finding Dory. Easy.
Yeah,
Sad.
1.025 versus 936. So here's
So
the thing
dumb.
though. Finding Nemo came out in 2003. Finding Dory came out in 2016.
Yeah,
so that's
I
a
think
pretty big inflation difference.
Well, I also think a lot of early Pixar movies people weren't watching in theaters; they were just getting it direct to home, which I don't think would equate into the box office.
Well, and then it's the kids that grew up with like watching them at home.
Yeah, and they already have a copy.
The same
Yeah.
with, I think it's the same situation with Incredibles 2. Of just people had waited that long for some kind of a sequel.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of hype around it. And then kids are also older, so they're going to watch it for a nostalgia factor and,
Yep.
and things
Wait,
like that.
what was the
So-
sequel gap between Incredibles and Incredibles 2?
Like
Incredibles 2,
17 years.
2018. Incredibles 1, 04. So 14 years.
14, okay.
Close.
So, but it is comparable to.
Right, yeah. I was like, were they both 13? I was like, oh my God.
They were not.
And they were released on Fridays.
Well, I mean, that's movies.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Technically, they're
Actually,
released on like a Thursday
yeah.
night now.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, because the midnight premiere is now at like 6.
yeah. They
On
don't
a
do
Thursday.
midnight premieres on Fridays anymore.
Lame.
Because
Well-
of incidents that have occurred
Yeah.
recently.
Well, not recently.
Well,
but
within recent history.
yeah. Do you know what we're referring to?
The Dark Knight Rises
Yeah.
premiere? Oh, yeah. No, I know.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
So, Teddy.
Yeah, I was
based
actually
on
at
the
that
argument-
premiere at a different theater, like 2 states away, and it was
Oh,
weird
wow.
because they shut down they turned like they literally this movie had started and they turned it off and locked us into the theater.
Oh, God.
That sounds
And
like the
we're-
worst
we're
idea
li-
you could do
we were
during
like-
the movie.
Well, we were like 2 states away, and we're just like, what's going on? We're waiting for this movie to start, and then they finally started up. And when we were leaving the theater, they had like cops surrounded the building pretty much.
Oh, my God.
And I don't know if, and we went to a Regal theater, so I don't know if all of the Regal theaters just decided to do that, have cops be there after the news or what.
I mean,
but
I wouldn't.
Did they roll out a red carpet while you guys all exited?
They did not.
Take pictures of everybody as they leave?
All right. Well, unless y'all have more points, I think it's about time that Teddy.
I'm trying to think of like questions I could ask, but
It's tough.
it is tough.
It's, yeah, I mean, it's like Nate said, it's very subjective. Like, we all have different views and contexts on how we
Yeah.
watch these movies. So it's,
Yeah, and-
no one is really wrong.
Yeah, And it's hard to pick apart any of these movies and be like, well, that's,
Yeah.
I don't know. They're just, all three of them are very well made, very good movies.
Yeah,
They
just
all,
two of them are rated higher than the other.
Yeah.
that is true.
Yo, subscribe to Patreon and you might see a movie night watching us watching all these movies.
Yeah.
But we won't be able to show the actual films. So we'll just set a camera right up in front of the TV so you can watch us watch
Just
them.
get a GoPro.
Actually, I'm not entirely sure.
Three,
I'm
two, one.
actually not entirely sure on the legalities of watching, like doing
you might have
co-watches
to get
on
licenses,
Patreon.
I mean, you couldn't show the movie itself,
That's
but
what
you
I was
could
saying.
tell
We could just
people,
show our faces.
hey,
Yeah.
click play at this point.
Yeah.
Have like a countdown timer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
True. So we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You could also probably have like a runtime clock on the side. So if we
We'll
take a
pay
bathroom break,
we'll
in the middle or
pay the
anything-
troll fee. We'll get it worked out.
Or we could do it, but we're gonna do it upside down with a black and white filter, and it's gonna
image is flipped.
Hard
Yeah, the
eyes.
image is flipped.
Yeah.
And it's upside down, and it's gonna move around the screen. The
With a
whole
hard
time.
eyes filter
it's
on
gonna be
the
self.
flickers.
We'll put red and blue lenses over the camera.
Oh
so
yeah,
that-
so we're watching it in 3D.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, for sure.
All right, Teddy,
What you got, buddy?
You-
What you think?
have you made a choice yet?
I think so. Since this is the question on which one's underrated, I'm gonna do it in perspective of what like Pixar films are rated, which is always very high.
Yeah.
Like I don't think they've really had a flop, have they?
I mean, yeah,
tried-
but the sequels, like,
Oh yeah,
Cars
sequels,
2.
Yeah.
Which
The-
still
the
which
Good
still made decent
Dinosaur.
money because kids are.
Never saw that one.
the good, well, yeah, don't. The Good Dinosaur came out in 2015. It's the second worst grossing film of all time.
Of all
Wait.
time.
For
sorry,
Pixar.
no,
Oh,
for Pixar.
okay,
Of
I was
Pixar.
gonna
all time.
say.
Really, really.
Sorry. Actually, I mean, that's not entirely true if you count like the direct to streaming movies that have come out.
Is it bad that I've seen The Good Dinosaur, but I have not seen Wally?
Yes, that is
Yes.
very
The
bad.
water in
Well,
The Good Dinosaur is
it
beautiful.
is beautiful.
I
Also,
don't
the-
understand how
no,
you can make water look
Dude,
like
they
that.
spent so much money on the animation of the water.
this water about to
It's
make me act up.
ridiculous. Oh my gosh.
But in terms of talking about Pixar ratings and also like the years coming out, I think I'm gonna have to give it to Josh.
I know.
Yeah,
That's fair.
And
That's fair.
the
It's
main
hard-
reason is because looking back on it, if I was to watch Toy Story, like the original Toy Story
Yeah.
and A Bug's Life, I would not think that. Honestly, I don't think Toy Story's that great, so those might just be bad opinions from me. But I wouldn't say that they're like one or two like star ratings away from each other. I would say they're a lot closer than that.
Great soundtrack in Toy
I
Story.
guess.
Oh,
I,
yes.
I personally
Randy Newman.
disagree. I mean, the original Toy Story to me is phenomenal, and
I mean, I
Bug's Life
agree.
is good.
Yeah.
And like I said, for me, a lot of
Well,
the Bug's
I
Life
think
is
Pixar,
nostalgia.
like-
but
I would be willing to sit down and watch any Pixar movie.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's just the thing.
Well, let's.
So
You know what? What we're gonna do on Patreon? We're gonna sit down. We're gonna watch all three of these movies, and then we're gonna re-talk about this
Are we?
at some point. I don't
At
know.
some
I
point.
mean-
At some point, not
In like a
anytime
year or
soon.
two.
Maybe, yeah, it might be a year. Never know. And then Teddy will re-pick.
Repick. Okay.
You know
But
how
I do still think Josh gets
Yeah.
the point right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. No,
All
that's definitely
right.
already locked in.
All right. I mean,
We've got it on the board.
well, everyone knows A
I
Bug's
wrote it in
Life
pen.
is Pixar. Just saying.
Everybody knows what?
I know everyone knows A Bug's Life is Pixar. They
And-
don't.
congrats to Josh on getting your point.
They don't know
okay,
Ratatouille.
I do have
2
to say
points.
that is a good was a good point from you where
Yeah.
you mentioned earlier to me today that you were picking Ratatouille, and I literally said that's Pixar.
Yeah. I mean,
But-
yeah, because it's everyone thinks it's DreamWorks,
But
it's just not.
I guess the main thing though is once you know it's Pixar, is it underrated for a Pixar film? And I don't think it is.
All right. Well, you are the guest, so you do get to vote. So that is your vote. So that puts us at the end of week 1 of October. We have Josh with 4.
5. Because you get
That
2
is
for
2 points.
Simpleton.
That is 2 points. You're right. So Josh with 5, Nathaniel with 1, Kyle with 2. And even though it doesn't matter if the guests get points or not, the guests have 1 point.
Not last. Let's go.
Nathaniel, I'm gonna beat you.
It is very possible. But, all right, guys. Well, we will see you next week with our special guest, Chris Cooley.
Cooley.
See y'all.
Bye.
Bye. Well, that's it for today's episode. Be sure to join us on the next episode where we will continue to debate as good friends do. Follow us on Instagram and YouTube and stay up to date on all things Asshat. and to participate in polls and activities throughout the week based on the themes of the upcoming episodes.
We also started a Patreon for those of you who are interested in showing your support in a more direct way. On our Patreon, we have a ton of bonus content, including tier lists, loser dinners, and bonus podcast episodes.
We want to continue making content that makes you think, smile, and especially laugh. And the best way that you guys can help us do that, leave a like or a comment, download and share all these episodes with your friends and family members who you think would enjoy our tomfoolery, our shenanigans, and all those other crazy words that encapsulate our content.